Chocolate Expo team. We have people who've been working with me for over 10 years, ranging from our guys out front that you meet when you're first coming in, to the staff you see around here. Just an amazing team. I want to point out in particular, there are a lot of people I need to thank, but certainly my associate producers, Barbara Chinsky-Cohn and Larry Rosenberg, our amazing social media manager. If you've seen any of our stuff on social media, Christy Bergeron-Charest. And by the way, Christy is not only full-time doing our social media, she also has an amazing soap company that is a vendor right here at the end, Soapery off Main. And Larry Rosenberg, our other producer, he has bacon bites at the front, the chocolate-covered bacon. How many people have seen the chocolate-covered bacon? Yeah, okay, great. So if you haven't seen him, go say hi to Larry. He was a very critical person in putting this whole project together. So I want to thank them. And then we have many other people. Again, I'm going to miss names, but Heather over here has been helping, and we just have an amazing crew of people. Chuck Ballantyne, our audio guy, he always gets it right. Chuck. And we have Chuck Fishman, who'll be walking around here. He's our photographer. And again, we just have many other people who I can't mention all the names. But it's a tremendous, tremendous honor for me to be on the stage today. It's a tremendous honor that we are celebrating the 55th anniversary of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I guess we have some fans here, right? Yeah, so we are very honored. They don't do too many events together. I think this is the second time they've been in New England together. Is that right? Second time in New England? I think second time. And the other time was with the Chocolate Expo. So that was a couple of years ago. And we said, we've got to do something for the 55th anniversary. So we have the lineup of stars here today. So I'm going to introduce each one of them, and I'm going to ask for a big, big welcome to Connecticut. Starting off with Peter Ostrom, Charlie Bucket. Come on up. There's another person in this room, and she wants it now. Who would that be? Veruca Salt, come on up. Next, you may have thought he was shrunk really, really tiny, but he's back to his regular size. Paris Femin, Mike TV. And last, but absolutely not least, how many of you love Oompa Loompas? You got some fans here, Rusty. Let's make sure you get up here safe.
It's fake. He was messing around. I'm sorry. That's it.
Big round of applause. Rusty Bob.
Rusty was doing his Gene Wilder imitation, correct?
Big round of applause. Look at all your fans out there. So keep in mind, I always say this when I come on stage with Rusty, he did not have a speaking part. He didn't say a single word. And it's 55 years later, and who likes Rusty Goff? And what other movies was he in? Harry Potter, 6 of the Harry Potter movies, and Star Wars. But we're going to have a really great conversation today. I'm going to invite a friend of ours to start the conversation with the Wonkas. Sehun Kim is a White House correspondent. We're very honored to have him here today. Come on, Sehun. And what I will say is, Sehun has a really interesting position when it comes to the Wonkas. We all know Washington, D.C. can at times be very political and very dysfunctional and a lot of acrimony. And being down in Washington, D.C., he sees all the news. And there's a saying in the news, when it leads, it bleeds. They always want to report on bad things. And Sehun had this crazy idea that he wanted to do something to bring people together. Now, of course, we believe here at the Chocolate Expo that chocolate brings people together. But we also know, and this is what he really identified, was that the Wonkas and the movie bring people together. I know a lot of you have already had an opportunity to meet the Wonkas directly. They are amazing, amazing people. They had just this really unique place in movie history, and it's so good to have them here today. I'm going to go off stage. I'm going to leave it to Sehun, and I will comment a couple times back and forth during the presentation, but what we really want is we want to also hear from you in the audience. So between myself and Heather, we're going to be running around the audience and let you ask questions. So you'll get to ask your special questions, things that you will always want to know about Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Again, round of applause for our stars. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everybody for coming, and this is a tremendous honor to be here on the 55th anniversary of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And also give yourselves a hand, because we have an opportunity to join and to celebrate this tremendous, tremendous day. So now I'd like to just, before we get to anything, I'd like to just start off with a burning question that everyone has in mind. But before we get to that, I think we should know that we see a couple of generations of folks here who have enjoyed the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but considers it a vital part of their lives. And I want to ask all of you, being at the 55th anniversary this year, what that means for you individually, together.
Well, it means we're still alive. And saying that, thank you everyone for being a fan of Willy Wonka, because you are keeping the movie alive. Thank you.
Rusty's comment reminds me, it was actually at the, you saw this too, Peter. Remember the Gene Wilder memorial film that we saw together? So Mel Brooks was there that day, and he came out and he said, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Well, frankly, I'm really happy to be anywhere. He was like 99 or 98 then or something like that. But anyway, so share your sentiment. What does it mean to me? It's obviously changed my life. It was not super duper popular when it came out. And even, from 1971 when it came out and then through the 80s, it was only so popular, but then they started showing it on TV once a year, kind of like Wizard of Oz, and it started to gain cult status. And so it's just sort of had an ever-increasing amount of impact on my life. I started going to Comic-Cons and stuff like this. So here we are now, I guess at the peak of its impact on my life, because look at all of you, and we're all here to talk about it and enjoy it together. So thank you for coming.
I don't want to be boring and repeat what they've already said, but yes, it means we get to do some fun things. I get to travel, I come out and see events like this, I get chocolate given to me. What's not to like? But it is nice to reach people and have lots of people come up and tell us what the movie meant to them. So it's more about what it means to you, and then that has an impact on me as well. When you say 2 generations, Sehun, I think actually more like 4. Right. These days I think we've come across 4. It used to be like 2, now it's 4, and little ones who've seen it. So yeah, it's lovely that a movie that was made 55 years ago has an impact on everyone here. Who hasn't seen Willy Wonka? Okay.
That's a lot of people.
There we go. Who has? Hey! So there you go. We've all got something in common, and us 4, we've all been in your living rooms while you've been having pizza and popcorn and arguing. That's why we're so familiar.
I saw at least one person that abstained. It was like, who hasn't? They didn't raise their hand. And when you said, who has? They didn't raise their hand. I'm not going to call them out because that was just too much, but it's just funny. Because I was like, maybe they saw it halfway through? I don't know. Anyway.
Maybe they saw it and didn't like it.
It's possible. Peter?
Sure, I think Marvin hit upon it. What a unique experience the film was for us and what it has become. Because when we made this film 55 years ago, we had no idea the impact that it would have on our lives, but then on multiple generations. When 6'5" men come up to me with tears in their eyes of what this film meant to them, I'm crying, and it's just, I'm getting goosebumps right now because of all of you, and it's an honor. This was my only film. I was one and done, and to be only involved, if I could only be involved with one film, I made the right decision. I guess this was it, but thank you.
It happened to me today. Actually, there were two women, you're not going to know which one you were, but two women that came up to the desk, and they were so overcome. I started to tear up. I started to get glassy-eyed. It happened to me just today over at the desk. I mean, so yeah, and of course, each of you, or many of you, have different stories, like that you were in the hospital and it was the one film that you could watch, or you had memories of watching with someone who isn't here anymore, and that sort of thing. So we obviously are at the receiving end of all of the different individual ripples that it's had everywhere, and because it's film, obviously it'll continue to ripple after we're gone, and so that's the amazing thing about film.
Well, thank you for that. I think, I think I speak on behalf of everyone here that we ourselves are extremely grateful that you were all part of our lives and in building that part of our lives. Now, I have to ask you, and as all of you may know, as all of you have heard, I work down in Washington, D.C., and one of the critical questions that we face today is the question of facing such a polarized world. And we will get to the fun questions in a bit, but we want to leave that to you good folks. But many of my colleagues and I are wondering, what role could movies or even books like The Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, or better known as The Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, play in potentially bringing such society, everyone from such a society that we have today? Because obviously, it calls, with every current event that's occurring in the world, it calls us to find a common ground. And I think this is one of the only movies that I personally seen folks from both sides, in our great US Capitol, for example, who would come and see it together, right? Because it moved them so much to a point where it brought out their inner child. So, let's, if you want to...
Yeah, I don't want to get too heavy and highbrow all over this kind of thing, but just to say, I have thought about this and thinking about, back to World War I, when two countries were fighting each other, and they had a brief amnesty while they played football and they sang Christmas carols in the trenches. And that's kind of what you sort of hope that maybe this could do, is for a moment you can put your finger on pause and go, let's stop all the nonsense, let's stop all the fighting, can we just share something that we all like? In that case, World War I, it was football in the trenches. But if Willy Wonka could have a tiny part, a tiny part where people stop fighting, God knows we've got our messes over the other side of the pond as well. I'm not immune to that either. But if we can just make people smile and go, let's leave politics out of life for a moment and enjoy something.
Sehu is a White House correspondent. I'm lobbying that maybe the film to be shown on the White House lawn maybe could be Wonka, do you think, maybe?
And by the way, the Library of Congress actually has a film screening, I believe every summer, of the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So it really does make an impact. But going back to that, it brings such a unifying factor together. And I know you shared with me a little bit about the impact of that. So,
well, there's no question. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. We can all agree that people like Wonka, and it sends a strong message. Charlie ultimately did the right thing, and maybe some of our world leaders could learn from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
And I think another thing about the film is that many of you, or saw it when we were 9, 10, 11, something like that. There are some people who maybe didn't see it until they were adults, but a lot of us saw it during our formative years, and that may be before we've really crystallized our specific political opinions, you know? And so it kind of goes back, and he was talking about the 6'5" guy that comes up to the table, and when he realizes who we are, in front of our eyes, he becomes an 11-year-old. Like you see it happen, they just melt. All the tattoos and everything, they just melt back to who they were. So that may be another reason why it's unifying.
No, I'm fine.
Well, you know, I think it's our final question, at least on behalf of my colleagues. You know, one of the main lessons that we learned from the movie or the book itself is that there is, you know, there's reward for good behavior, but more importantly, it's the message of hope that's present, right? Whether it's in the book or in the movie. And obviously, Dr. Ostrom, you were instrumental in playing that role and portraying that, but all of you were, it contributed to the buildup of the entire film itself. I'm wondering if, in your opinion, that particular lesson is more applicable today than ever before. I mean, is that something that you thought about, or is that something you would maybe like to amplify a little bit more?
I would agree with you. This idea, because obviously, you know, depending on where you are in the world, you know, these can be very dark times, and to have hope and to realize that maybe we just need to get through this. We need to get through the tunnel to get to the other end. Okay, that's what we need to do. We need to press on. You know, have that good attitude, have that optimistic attitude. Realize, you know, help from our friends, that we're going to get through this.
I promise, last question, on behalf of my colleagues. What was it like working not only with Gene Wilder, but you've also you had an opportunity to interact with Roald Dahl himself, the legend, right? The writer of the book. If you can maybe share a little bit on that.
I think, well, both Pete and I met Roald Dahl on set, but he was a tricky man. He was very tall, but slightly curmudgeonly, if that's a good word to use. But, you know, whatever you think about Roald Dahl, and a lot has been written about Roald Dahl, and if you want to learn more about him, go and see Giant on Broadway at the moment, played by John Lithgow. Fantastic. He wrote a great story, and wrote several great stories. But, you know, Willy Wonka, for some reason, seems to have reached further than some of the other stories, and maybe it's because we all really want to believe that good things happen to good people and bad things happen to bad people. So yeah, Roald Dahl did write a pretty fine story.
Anyone else?
Sure, I did get to meet Roald Dahl, and he was on set for about a week, 7 to 10 days, and then ultimately did not end up writing the screenplay or for the film. But I think it's difficult for a man like Roald Dahl to have this tremendous imagination, and then to actually meet Charlie, meet Veruca, meet Mike TV. And, you know, maybe, you know, I'm not saying that it was a disappointment, but I'm sure for his imagination and his thought process, you know, it's probably maybe a little bit, you know, not what he would have imagined.
And they always say it's difficult for authors to let things go because it's going to be different. So who knows, you know. Lucky for us that we all got the parts. Maybe if Roald Dahl had been casting it, we might not have been in it. But anyway, we were.
Well, before I get to our Q&A from the crowd, just to attest to what you're saying, you know, even down in DC, I'm sure you've noticed, but last time we were at the White House, you know, that was actually the first time where we saw Secret Service agents putting down their protocol face, having that really, really solid face too. You brought a smile to all of them. Some of them even breaking protocol to take a photo with all of them together. So, you know, I guess in terms of hope, maybe it could start by bringing our inner child together, like you did for us in Washington, D.C. community. Now, we're going to take a few questions from the crowd, so if you have a question, please raise your hand and we'll get to you.
If I could just ask a question, point something out. Over on the right-hand side here, we have an amazing, amazing balloon display. If you want to go in the boat that they rode in, the very same boat that they rode in, it's right over there. You can get in it and you can have your picture taken in the boat on the Chocolate River. So be sure to take a look at it. Our amazing balloon sculptor is Robbie Furman. He's over in the kids zone, so you can go say hi to him. He's the one who put this amazing sculpture together. So I do have a question, so I'll start off with the questions. You, except for Charlie, you played kind of nasty children. And I'm talking to Veruca in particular and Mike TV in particular. All the kids were kind of self-absorbed and everything else. Veruca, you were the nasty girl. You were the ultimate nasty girl in all movie history. You were the worst of the worst. Everyone agree? But if I ask the question, who loves Veruca? If I ask the question, who likes Mike TV? And who likes the other kids that were also very self-absorbed? Now, of course, it was Charlie. He was angelic. Except that scene, which we see over there, fizzy lifting, you had something you weren't supposed to have. So Charlie is angelic, but nevertheless, what's the magic of this movie? Why are we celebrating rotten kids? And a crazy guy who owns a chocolate factory. What is the magic? So I'm asking, what is magic? Why? Is it because we're looking at ourselves? Are we all a little bit of Veruca and Mike TV? Maybe even Mr. Oompa Loompa? What is the magic? And I open that to all of you to answer that question, and then we'll go to the audience.
If I had $1 for everybody that has come up to me, probably just for today even, but never mind all the other days, that said, I was called Veruca, or I behaved like Veruca, or I really wanted to be like Veruca. And obviously I've said the same to you, Mike TV version. But yeah, there is part of us that all wants to be the bad kid and get away with it. So I think there's maybe a little bit of that, there's envy of thinking, wow, those kids were really awful. Mind you, they did come to a sticky end, most of them, but so there's part of us, I think, that would really like, it's like channeling your dark side of your nature, your archetype.
Honestly, when I hear your question, I think of Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart, in the beginning of his career, he was gangsters. He was really bad guys. Like I watched too much TV. He was like gunning people down with machine guns and stuff like that, and people would cheer. And I think and by the way, Bogart would have been one of Mike TV's heroes, certainly. First of all, people know that we're not really those people, so they have that distance from it, and they can cheer for the way that we've crafted it, without actually feeling like this horrible child is actually going to be released upon the world, right? If they've seen the movie more than once, they know that we're going to get our comeuppance, as Julie said. So, we're going to get our just desserts. I can tell you that a lot of actors will tell you it's more fun to play the bad guy than to play the good guy. Nothing personal, Peter. Yeah, I don't know. It's cathartic, I guess, in the way that Julie said.
All right. I have our first question.
Peter, no, I'll just ask Peter, do you have any comments about your colleagues?
I would say Charlie must have gone to confession and owned up to the idea that he drank fizzy lifting drinks and was redeemed.
And Rusty, any comments about the bad kids you had to work with?
The bad ones. We were brats, and how was it? Do you think why do people like the bratty children?
Oh yeah.
Why do fans like the bratty children?
Why do they like the bratty children?
That's the question of the moment.
I don't know. Ask Veruca.
Okay, so with that, let's go to the first question.
Marvin, I have my first
You
question.
got your first question over there, okay.
What was everyone's favorite scene to film?
Favorite scene to film?
Everyone's favorite scene.
What was your
My
favorite scene to
favourite
film?
film was the Oompa Loompas. I'm just saying that because they were brilliant. No, all the movie was fantastic. It really was. Mel Stewart, the director, made the movie for adults, basically, not children.
Point your lens at him, it's fake.
Have you got a good one? Did you get a good one? Good. Or indeed now it's an enlargement. Yeah, he made it for adults. But children absolutely love it. Except, who remembers being told by the mum and dad, you eat your dinner, else you're not going to be like that orange little man. Go to bed and be quiet, else I shall send that orange little man up to you. Who was frightened? Hand up, come on, admit it. Who was frightened of us?
Who was frightened of you?
I love you. Oh
Just a
yeah,
few.
yeah, there are some. Thank you very much, that's a good question.
All right.
Too frightened to put their hands up in a pit, that Rusty.
I think I have our next question right here.
Yeah, thank you. So, most actors spend their whole lives working toward a big defining moment in their career. At 12 years old, you've experienced a global, life-defining cultural moment. How does it change your view of success and ambition when your life's biggest cultural moment happens when you're a child? And was choosing to become a veterinarian a way of escaping Hollywood and to find a different way to make an impact?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm probably best well known for not continuing on in film, in theater, and acting. And the simple answer is another door opened to me. I had wonderful parents that gave me many experiences, many opportunities, and I found something in veterinary medicine that really resonated with me. I met the veterinarian that I worked with when I was 15 years old, and I thought he had the coolest job in the world. And I said, that's what I want to do. And I enjoyed this. It has impacted my life greatly, but I found another way to express my talents. And I love theater, I love film, I'm a great fan. Are there mornings waking up like, I wonder what would have happened if? Sure, but I made the right choice. I made the right choice.
Okay, so we have our next question over here.
Hello, everyone. So, one of the things that we all love, and we're 3 generations here, is the pure joy and happiness that this film has brought us our entire lives. Mine, my mom's, my daughter's. And one question that I have for you, our famous Oompa Loompas always sing, and at the end they say, and you can live in happiness too. And one question I have for all of you is, what has your characters, what's one thing that you take, even in some of the ill fates that some of you may have met, what's that one thing that you bring from your character throughout your life that has brought you great joy and happiness?
Ooh, that's a big question.
I think that Mike TV, as he went through this film, really didn't, I don't know how to put this delicately, he didn't care. He didn't give a beat, right? He was making his way through. He wanted what he wanted. He experienced what he wanted. He grabbed life with both hands. He not exactly sort of shoved people to the side in the way that maybe Veruca did, but he was just very unencumbered by self-doubt and by insecurity and any of those things. The one thing that got to him, I think, was in the tunnel when the scary things were happening and he's clinging to his mother and he's shooting at them. But everything else that happened to the other kids or happened to him, it was all good. Even when he was shrunk, he was happy with that. He was like, great, yeah, look at me, it's awesome, right? So just that lack of self-doubt, I think, would be a thing that maybe I perhaps, I don't know that I took it from my character, but if I were to think now if there might be something that I might want to take from that character, that might be it.
I have our next question right here.
Hi. and I so appreciate Gene Wilder and Jack in this movie. So were you guys aware of their like existing careers, like before you started making the movie, and did it impact the way you went forward, being able to work with such great actors?
I wasn't aware because in the UK, Gene Wilder, Jack Albertson, the American cast were completely unknown to me. The Roy Kinnear, who played my father, I knew and recognised. I was more in awe of the woman who played my mother, who doesn't even get a credit. Her name was Pat Coombs. But I'd been brought up on British television comedy, and she was a big star on British TV. So I was a bit more like, oh, Pat Coombs is playing my mum. So in a way, not being aware of who they were as stars was great, because to me they were just Gene, Jack, Roy, whoever. But also when you're 12, maybe things are a little bit different now with social media, but I'm not sure that you're very starstruck when you're 12. You're just like, these are just people you're working with. So.
But I think that's a testament to Gene and Jack. They did not present themselves as stars. They were our co-stars, and they were not on a pedestal. Of course, Gene's career just went through the roof after Wonka, but really because of Richard Pryor and all the other films that he did, Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, etc. But you couldn't have asked between Gene and Jack for more humble people to work with. And if there's something that I took away from my experiences as Charlie and working with them is to be humble. Have confidence, but be humble.
Okay, so we have our next question over on this side.
Hi. So I always never really thought of the kids as bad kids. I always thought like the difference between the families, Charlie Baker's family, Veruca's parents, and Mike TV's parents as a whole. And I think about what's important to like American culture versus I love British TV. And I was just wondering, do you guys really think the kids were necessarily bad or just
poor parenting?
Poor parenting.
What was the word I was going to say?
They had no boundaries.
I see like Veruca as ambition, Mike TV as adventurous, Violet as like bold. Like I see those as amazing qualities that got misguided, but are those traits like not as?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'd agree. You know, their qualities. You know, you could say about Veruca, she was assertive, but it wasn't reined in the right way, was it? She was allowed to run riot. So poor parenting. You know, all of those great qualities in small doses.
And it's in the text also, by the way. It's in one of the Oompa Loompa songs about it being the mother and the father. So they even deal with it in the text.
All right, and I have our next
So we have
question.
another question over here.
Right here.
Hello, everybody. I know before we were talking about writer Roald Dahl and also director Mel Stewart, but what about the creator, the executive producer, Mr. David L. Whopper? Also, his vision of the concept of the movie as well.
Well,
my question is, how did all three of them come together to create this movie?
but there's also somebody that maybe you're not aware of and you've left out. Famously, when Roald Dahl didn't get on with the director and walked off the set and didn't want anything more to do with the movie, which has been documented, we were left in Germany without a screenwriter. So yes, we had David Wolper and Stan Margulies, the producers, but we didn't have a screenwriter. So Mel Stewart, the director, contacted probably several people. I'm not sure that he was probably got the yes from the first guy, probably turned down a few times. But he ultimately contacted David Seltzer that he'd worked with on documentaries and said, look, you always wanted to be a screenwriter. Here's an opportunity. We'll fly you out tomorrow, but you won't be credited for the movie and nobody's going to know you're here. So they flew David Seltzer out. He was 32 at the time. He'd never written a screenplay. They locked him in a hotel room. He wasn't allowed out. He kind of tells the story now that he says he had Brunhilde guarding the door and he was sort of chained to the typewriter while he wrote all the rewrites. And he finished and completed the screenplay, which is the version that we all know. And many, many, many of the lines that you come up and tell us you like, David Seltzer put in. All the Shakespearean quotes, David Seltzer put in. So many of those things were thank you to David Seltzer, who then did go on to have a screenwriting career. And his next job, where he did get credited, was to write the screenplay for The Omen.
And I think our next question, this young man here.
I have a question for all of you. So I'm playing Charlie Bucket in a musical, and do you guys have any advice?
Okay, Rusty, can you help this young man? He's going to be playing Charlie Bucket in a musical. Have you got any sage words of advice for him as the elder statesman of this troupe?
Yes, I do have. If you get suffer from nerves and you're a bit frightened, breathe. Hold it. Slow it out. Hold it. Slow. If you do that about 5 times, all the nerves will go. And you can try that at school. When you've been told off, you're going to go and see the head teacher. Stand outside the door. Breathe. All the nerves will go. Yeah. That's the hardest thing to get over. But do it. If you want to do it, no one will stop you. You'll be a star.
Great advice, great advice. All right, I have our next question right here.
Hello, everybody. Your movie definitely is a classic. I have a question concerning the 2 remakes. What is your feeling on the 2 remakes, and do you think it's taken away from the actual original movie?
The what? The
He was at
Yeah.
Say remake?
I don't know.
Like, of what?
Charlie. Trifle deaf?
Yeah. So does
People
anyone have
are
an actual question?
Oh, I'm sorry, all questions must be submitted in writing.
Okay, so we have a question over on the side. We're going to take like maybe 2 or 3 more questions. And then, of course, the Wonka cast will be over on the other side of the building. They'll be signing autographs and taking pictures if you'd like to have your picture taken with them. And you can ask some additional questions as well at that time. So, what's your question?
Is there anything you liked about specifically like filming the movie?
Anything we liked specifically about filming the movie? Hanging out with each other was a lot of fun. Seeing all the sets for real, because there was very little CGI, so we got to have our own little private Disney World, if you like. So it was our own private little theme park. So all of that was fun. The bits I didn't like so much was having to do the schoolwork, because you still have to do your schoolwork, kids. You don't get away with it. But hanging out, and obviously the friendships that we've made, 55 years later, we're still friends. We're still speaking to each other. Just about. Just about.
All right, I have another question right here.
Hi. My question is for all of you. What was it like working with a creative, like a genius actor like Gene Wilder? Like, what was it like the most fun? What was it like having the most fun with them on set?
What was it like working with Gene? Do you want to take this one? What was it like working with Gene?
Gene was remarkable. He was a very talented man, but very funny. Very serious at times. But he was a hero. He was nice. Some of these kids are 8, 9, 10 years of age. Some came from England, left their parents. Bye-bye. They're on their own. Went to a chaperone. They didn't even know, couldn't speak English. And the children couldn't even speak German. Gene didn't realise this. And he used to read them bedtime stories, children's stories. He was delightful. True, Julie? Because Julie was one of the recipients of these stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was remarkable. I love the man. He came from Connecticut, I understand. I cried when he passed, really did, because I thought he was my hero. Thank you for the question.
We're going to have one more question here, but we want to do just a big round of applause for Gene Wilder. Gene is a very, very special person. If you want to just comment a little bit, Peter, on that, since you work with him the most, that'd be just a nice thing for everyone to hear about Gene.
Sure, Gene, you know, obviously this was my first and only film, and Gene really kind of took me under his wing and taught me the ropes. So my relationship with Gene, you know, my performance, you know, I owe a great deal to being able to work with Gene. And at his passing, it just, you know, we lost, you know, a great person in the industry, and they could never make his films again, and never will make the types of films that Gene made. He was wonderful.
If you guys could take one invention from the factory and Wonka was going to give it to you, what invention would you take?
I'll take flight, thanks. If you're offering me magical spells, I'll take flight. Okay, I have to burp when it's time to come down, but that's all right. They didn't seem to have much navigation. The only thing, it's more of a levitation. I play D&D, if you can tell. I'm kind of a geek, you know? So it's more of a levitation, really, than it is than an actual flight. Although with a little bit of waggling around, you could sort of go in one direction or the other. So anyway, I'll take levitation. Thank you.
Well, maybe I'll go for the thing that I didn't get, or at least I tried to get. I'll go for the goose that laid the golden eggs. That would be a hell of an omelette, wouldn't it? Wouldn't you like a golden omelette for breakfast anyway? But you imagine if my little hen could lay a few golden eggs, I could change the world and buy 3 more mink coats.
And so what you're saying is you didn't get them and you still want them.
I still want a golden goose.
Yes. When do you want them?
Now!
Just checking.
I would say a sweet story. I have 3 grandchildren, 6, 4, and 2. And because I never did get the golden goose, I've now gone into sort of pottery classes like all we do when we retire and make things. And I've made myself a goose. Yeah. Finally, because I never got one. So I made this goose for my garden, for my yard, which I was very proud of. And I made the golden egg. And my kids were over, my grandkids were over, and they were playing some kind of treasure hunt in the garden. They've lost the golden egg. It's somewhere. Somewhere a fox is sitting on it, or a squirrel has stolen it. My golden egg's gone missing.
So if you see it,
yeah, if you see it, let me know.
And I'm still waiting for my lifetime supply of chocolate. If we visit the vendors, I think it's out there.
It's the only reason you do the Expo, isn't it? For the lifetime supply of chocolate.
I was going to say, you've come to the right place, you know.
Come several times a year, it'll keep it going.
Rusty, what would you like out of the Chocolate Factory or out of the whole movie? What invention would you go for?
Keep one invention from the Chocolate Factory. What would we keep?
What invention would you want out of everything that all the different inventions that they had there? Do you want lifting? Do you want to be lifted up, busy lifting, or the chewing gum?
Yeah. Out the elevator.
All right, everyone, a big round of applause for the cast of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Stay home, kids. Yes, stand up. Let's hear it, Connecticut. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. Please enjoy, support our vendors. Many of them are local vendors. We have some international vendors. They're really terrific. You can meet the cast over by the autograph signing area, and please look at these amazing balloons that we have here as well. Have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Can I have one big cheer for this guy who put all this together? Mark. Here's a hit. Mark and his team, they are brilliant. lovely people.
And
Give 'em chocolate!
My colleagues who helped put this together, Larry, Barbara, Christy, Heather, and again, there's so many people. Just Heather happens to be right here, so she's getting credit because she's right here. But thank you very much. Thank you.
It could be his brother.
It's a chocolate.